Add it to the blacklist. I never want to hear that music again.
Placed, just to say. But with that being said, we're going to get into Rebel Ridge. We're going to be getting into Rebel Ridge. We're going to be getting into, you know, Kendrick Lamar definitely is not like us as far as Pan-Africans, because he got me fucked up. I am not finna be sitting on the floor with a fucking American flag draped on the back of my ass. He got me messed up. So I will not be doing that. Okay. What I will be talking about also is, aside from the Kendrick Lamar, talking about, because this is a Breaking the Backboards day. So this is really like a basketball. It should be a basketball show that was supposed to be done today, but just due to situations, shout out to Ryan Wilson, my co-host, for multiple shows, taking a little break, which is needed in most cases. So always good. But I thought that it would be cool for me to come on and just do a live stream, Indigenous Nightmare live stream on the Indigenous Nightmare podcast on the Indigenous Nightmare Network. That's so narcissistic. Now that I think about it. Yeah, we'll be getting into Cheryl Swoops being taken. Basically, she's no longer going to be calling Caitlin Clark games, so not specific team games, Caitlin Clark games. And so I'll be breaking that down through the lens of a couple of videos of her specifically talking correctly about, there is no such thing as reverse racism, and the fact that the league and media are portraying this, Cheryl Swoops as being quote unquote racist to Caitlin Clark is a narrative that I'm having to address. I've created an article about it in the context of what's been going on, specifically this season in the WNBA, in hopes that people can kind of understand that, politics and most importantly, these narratives of reverse racism are aesthetics that keep individuals manipulated into believing that there is some types of substance that needs to be brought into post-revolution from that system, or that the system in of it itself is not the problem. It's these narratives that we keep juggling around and whatnot, like individuals right now trying to. I watched the video, it was almost 2 years ago, but I went and searched these individuals up in regards to see how they've progressed. And this is in the context of FBA and ADOS. So I was watching a debate, and these individuals have gotten worse, misleading the masses by manipulating texts, certain scriptures, certain books, to try and justify their hegemonic, or them aligning with white hegemony, but also their white or their masculine, their toxic masculine, approaches that are just aesthetics of hegemony. And so there's going to be a lot that we talk about today. Basically, I'm going to be going all over the place, but I tried to structure it in a way that made sense for me and for the viewers. And so we're going to start off with Rebel Ridge. For those that don't know, I'll be going more extensive with Ryan over this. So this is just more of my personal opinion on it. I watched Ryan actually did the notes because the movie came out on Friday. So we've been holding back on this episode. We actually got Dr. Matthew Alford to join in on this, and it's going to be a part of a segment that this network will be titled supported or not supported. Is this national security cinema, or even propaganda, or just propaganda? And so we'll be getting into a lot of that and formulating that. And again, we're doing this with an individual that wrote a book, again, called National Security Cinema. We just had them on and was a co-producer of a docu-movie called Theaters of War. And so shout out to Dr. Roger Stahls, Dr. Matthew Alford, Tom Secker. There's a lot of others out there right now too that are doing this work that I want to thank. But yeah, let's get into Rebel Ridge. Rebel Ridge is a Netflix movie that just came out, and emulates a lot of false narratives and realities, for an individual of color to go through a small town, run through its police officers with military, military experience via martial arts and strategies of quote unquote de-escalation. Uh, you know, these, it's one of these movies. It was a good movie. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like it wasn't a good. It was a really good movie. But it's false. It's a completely false narrative, and it has some little smidges of truth where they portray the cops the way that they should be portrayed, and the corruption, but then they also talk about, they do it from a standing of this corruption only happens because there wasn't, police lost their funding. And so I just thought that was a bullshit narrative there. Immediately, him being a Marine, that was stateside, so he never had any active duty, quote unquote. It was just I didn't really expect this movie to be what it was towards the end. It dragged me along for a minute. Let's see what was here. I was wondering if I should watch it. Wasn't impressed with the trailer. No, Ikemba, I think you should definitely watch it. It's one of those movies that, again, it's thought provoking. And then when we sat down, with Matthew Alford, and I hope you you were able to watch that. That you get just a different interpretation of what's actually happening. It's exactly what it is. We called it Black Rambo it was like, this is Rambo, First Blood. But let me play the trailer for you guys, for those that really aren't understanding what the hell I'm talking about. Let me get you a brief understanding of what this movie is and what it ends up being, which again, we'll be breaking this down with Ryan Wilson, my co-host, on Wednesday for Decolonial Parallels. We specifically go into this, and then we'll be furthering that with Dr. Matthew Alford when we conduct our recording, and sit down with him to discuss this, as he's watched the movie and I've gotten feedback from him on this as well. So it's just going to be a really, really fun way to get you guys to understand the manipulation from an academic level, but also from a deeply rooted level of theory, and understanding of what militarization, propaganda is, and manipulating the masses into believing that we need to uphold the military industrial complex and funding of cops and cop cities. So let me just play this trailer for you guys so you can get a brief understanding of what's going on. The movie has already came out. That again, I'll break the movie down. The movie starts off with the individual riding the bike, purposely gets hit by the police officers, gets put into custody. They ask to search his bag. He searches his bag, finds the money. The money, he tells them what it's for, where it's from. He was a steak owner in a Chinese restaurant that the police officers just so happen to know as well. They confiscate the money, but that's the big story, is that this city, or small little township of butt fuck Bama ass individuals, are basically using the courts and using the prisons, and the police departments to then impart trump up charges on certain individuals for bail bonds, and that bail bonds are then in part is what pays the bills, quote unquote, in this city. So again, they're using this narrative that the only way that we keep society cool is if we start funding some cops, because this is what happens. You get little townships that become corrupt, and it's like, no, I think the system in of it itself altogether was corrupt before then, and you're creating this false reality by manipulating individuals into thinking that, oh, this is what happens when state-funded cops gets taken away and stripped away. This is what happens when you defund the cops, is these little, it's like, no, that's not. There is never going to be a case where you see an individual that is from them, that has U.S. Marine experience, that does exactly what he does there. He packs up every single one of the police officers without using a gun too. Okay. there's in no way, shape, or form a reality where we see that happen. We seen on multiple occasions. What was it? The dude that was in the forest and they blew up his cabin and whatnot. There's that guy. There's I believe his name is Micah X from Dallas, California. Our brother, shot and killed, had military experience. So there's no reality have we had where someone with military grade experience like that is able to pack up a whole ass town of police officers, a whole platoon of police officers. And then in part, we see Because of Winn-Dixie, and I say Because of Winn-Dixie, if you know what I'm talking about. That's the actress, the female in the movie that helps him. She's a prosecutor for the same system that she knows is corrupt, and she digs deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and come to find out she has her own little troubles. And so the police find out, the police department, who works in reciprocity with the judge, and the judge spills all the beans about it. I believe 30 minutes before the movie ends, and tells the whole entire story that that the police fucked up and did something, and there wasn't enough insurance to cover it, and so state funding was stripped away from them. And this is what happens when state funding is stripped away, and we don't have insurance policies that are able to match. Again, all of that to uphold the values of white hegemony. So again, this movie, as much as it was entertaining, as much as it was something that was fun to see a bunch of police officers get their ass whooped, at the same time too, they used military to justify that this movie had some form of merit. And so I just wanted to conclude there, because I want to save what I have for Wednesday, the notes that I have in depth, specific scenarios. But that's just to get you guys to understand that, yeah, that this movie ain't something that you should be happy about. For one, we also have to look at too, the actor who plays the cousin. His cousin I'll save that. Let me be quiet. The actor that plays the individual that packs up all these police officers, the same individual that played Malcolm X on Geniuses, Dr. King, MLK, and X. I just find it a little weird that they're propagating these myths of propaganda, and at the same time this dude played a revolutionary figure, and in the same time too that diluted the character, his character. It also goes back to every single time that we see Malcolm X on screen, or interpretation of Malcolm X, I always go back to when James Baldwin talked about even writing the a script, screenwrite for the autobiography of Malcolm X. Felt like he had to step away from it simply because he felt like he was, and these are his words, felt like it was he was a part of the second assassination of his brother. And so, that's how I feel every single time I see certain interpretations of Malcolm X, and then to find out that this dude is now playing this ex-military vet. It's like, I come on. It just goes to show you that media, especially media that we consume, like, again, for example, National Security Cinema has a plethora of books, a plethora of movies, I should say, within this book. Apologies, that go over this. It goes over every single thing. Court documents, appendix, court documents right here, all in the back, that justify, the manipulation that the national security has over our media. So when we look at this movie, we can't look at this movie and be like, oh, like there isn't any propaganda there. No, I definitely think there's fucking propaganda there, and this movie comes at a right time for certain individuals, like I would have to say for the presidential election. And so I'll leave that there, because there is stuff that I've written down that I'm pretty sure Ryan has, notes that I haven't even looked at, because again, I'm trying to be respectful of Wednesday and getting that show formulated. So we'll conclude there. When it comes prosperously. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality.
Add it to the blacklist. I never want to hear that music again.